What's up YouTube? Jeff back again here from High on Android and DopeTechDaily.com, and today I'm bringing you guys my full review of the Samsung Gear S2. Now, you guys saw me unbox this and sort of did a little overview of all of the watches that I have. So today I want to go through and run through all the features, battery life, and everything, tell you what I think about the Gear S2. Now, as I said in my original review, my original unboxing, I had the original Gear S, and I was a huge fan of this watch. Of course, I was an idiot today and I forgot to charge this one before I did the video, because I've been wearing this one and the Moto 360 because I've been reviewing these two. But let's start with a comparison between these two, because one of the things that I don't like about the Gear S2 is the new size. So obviously, that's going to vary by preference. You can see these two watches are vastly different shapes and sizes. The Gear S has got the big giant curved screen. That's going to be great for reading emails, also great if you want to send messages. It's got a thicker strap with this Samsung branding on the clasp on the back here. You guys can see that. Whereas the Gear S2 is a lot thinner, obviously. It's also a lot smaller. It's got the circular design. I don't think the strap looks quite as good. You sort of got this cheap plastic sport band. Now, it could be good in some ways, but the first thing that I felt like Samsung took a step back on is the display size. So obviously, the resolution on the display is still fantastic, actually, but I like to have a bigger watch because mainly, well, you guys saw my collection. I have a bunch of regular watches, so this thing looks like a regular watch, just like my G-Shock, my Tissot watch, any other watch that I might have. But this one sort of looks super futuristic, looks like a smartwatch. And also, a smartwatch, in my opinion, needs to have a different size or different shape because it's made for different tasks than a regular watch. Regular watch is just for telling time, which you can see this one does a great job of that too. But this one is made for reading emails, sending text messages, even browsing the internet, because this thing had a standalone SIM card. So in the end, the screen size I felt like was better for me on here. Again, obviously I know not everyone's going to want this big giant thing that looks like a phone on their wrist. So for some people, that's why this is going to be a better choice. But for me, the screen size was better on the Gear S. I like the ability to use a full keyboard for the most part. Swipe was easy to use on here. I could send emails, send text, etc. So for me, I think the Gear S2 size was a step down. But Samsung obviously knew that a lot of people wanted a smaller device, not as thick, that looks like a real watch. All right, so we got that out of the way. I'll have a few more comparisons. Right now I'm just trying to get out of the way the things that I found a little annoying about the device, and the size was the first thing. The next thing, of course, that's a huge deal to me and should be to a lot of other people as well, is yes, you've got a lot of apps on here, and yes, you've got S-Voice, but the one thing that you don't have on here is a speaker. So yes, you can give voice commands on here, but there's no speaker on here, which means you can't take calls from your watch. Again, I hate to keep going back to the Gear S, the original Gear S comparison, but the original Gear S, I could take calls on my watch. I don't need a separate Bluetooth device just to take a call. I can hit answer on my watch, take a call from the watch. It looks futuristic. It's also super convenient if you're in the car. Now on this one, you're going to need a separate Bluetooth headset paired up to your watch in order to take a call from the watch. So yes, you can still give voice commands, but you can't do any sort of speaker-related tasks, which is something that a lot of people like the original Gear S for. And in addition to that, this watch, that brings me to my next point, this watch here does not have a standalone SIM card yet. Now the new model, the next model with the 3G is coming out next month. I'm probably going to get that just because I want to be able to use it as a standalone device. But as of now, you can't leave your phone at home like you could with the original Gear S and then forward your calls and your notifications and everything and take calls and notifications and browse the web with your standalone watch independently. So if you want to leave your phone at home and still be able to make calls and things from your watch, you're going to have to wait till next month, which is not that long now, but it's a little annoying Samsung didn't release them at the same time, because a lot of people, again, who had this watch, if they are big Samsung fans and they went out and grabbed the new one, they're going to be disappointed. Oh, it's only Wi-Fi, now I can't take calls. Not everyone pays attention to that. I do, obviously, I knew what I was getting into, but not everyone pays attention to that when they buy a new device. All right, so you lose the speaker, you lose the ability to leave your you leave your phone at home and just take your watch to the gym, which is something I use it a lot for. You're going to need a Bluetooth headset to take calls on this one. Both of those are annoying. They'll both probably be rectified with the 3G model, but I'm reviewing the model that I have. All right, so the screen size, we got no speaker. The next thing that's a little annoying about this watch that I noticed is when you get a notification, so you can see I've got some notifications over here. I don't want to blow anyone up, but I got some notifications. You can see Total Tech there. My man TK, shout out to him. He's doing a little periscoping right there. He's over in Minnesota. But you can see here, if you have a notification, if that comes in on the home screen, say I just got my watch like this, if it comes in, you can swipe it down to sort of dismiss it right then, but it doesn't get rid of the notification forever. If you go over here, you actually have to swipe it up again to get rid of your notification. So you can't get rid of your notification permanently when it comes in, which is annoying. Yes, you can swipe down just like you could on the Gear S. That'll dismiss it from your home screen, let you get back to the clock. But then if you use the bezel, you've got to go over here, there'll still be notifications, you got to swipe up to get rid of them. I think that's a little ridiculous because it takes a lot of extra time to get rid of the notifications. I don't know why they don't just give you an option, some sort of gesture where you can just delete them right away. Another thing I noticed with notifications, a lot of the times when I would get notifications on this watch, because I get a ton of notifications, mainly a lot of emails from teaching, all of my work at the university with research, teaching, everything. I teach at ASU, and then also I teach at the community college as well. So I have a lot of different teaching activities going on, a lot of different classes from different colleges. And I would notice if I get a bunch of emails in a row, like boom, 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 they all come in, then some of them would not show up. So eventually it would just start showing a threaded version. It wouldn't show the individual emails. And in addition, it would freeze up a little bit and lag so that I couldn't actually, it would just go back to the clock for a minute and I have to touch it in order for it to start showing the emails again. Now that's a little bit of annoying because if you get a bunch of notifications, anything, in my case emails that I actually wanted to see and check at a glance, that's probably my number one use for my smartwatches, is checking emails to see if I need to take action on them or not. It's annoying if they don't all show up and sort of you just see a Gmail sort of threaded thing. And also it's even more annoying if it lags, and then I've got to touch it to start seeing the notifications again. So that's something that definitely annoyed me about the situation in terms of lag. I didn't notice any lag when scrolling through the screens. That's super fluid. But definitely when the notifications come in, a whole bunch of them, I would see it sort of panic a little bit. That's certainly something that could be fixed. Now, full disclosure, I did get a new firmware software update right now, like right before I started the video, but I wanted to push this review out because I've had this for a while. But they did push a software update, the first one today. So some of these things I mentioned could be fixed, and obviously if they are, I will note it on my website, Dope Tech Daily. I'll probably do a written review for High on Android as well, just to follow up on anything that was fixed with this first software update. All right, so the next thing that I didn't like about the Gear S2 is the number of available apps. So you see I've got some apps installed here, ESPN, Yelp, some of the ones that come installed, but there aren't really a lot of third-party apps. In fact, I could barely find any that I wanted to use. Let me go onto the Gear App Store really quick, and I'll show you guys really quick sort of what I'm talking about. You can see here, if you go to the home page here, you've got ESPN and Yelp, CNN. These are the big ones that they're sort of putting in. Flipboard is one that sort of came along. That one I might install. Bloomberg, that one's there by default. Now this is a really cool app. This is the only one I actually installed, which you can see I've got it installed, that I thought was really cool. You can use your social media picture feeds as your background. This one I did notice a few bugs where it wouldn't change the pictures, but you can set your Instagram feed to be your background. I'll show you really quick, guys, how this works. So, of course, if you want to change your watch face, you just hold down on the screen, and then you can go over here. Let me see if I still got it. There it is. Social watch. So if you go there and select it, you can see right here, it's loading up my social watch. Take it back there. And you can see right there, I'm getting pictures from my Instagram feed as my background. You can see that's a picture of a Jordan 12. Got the nice, crispy looking Jordan 12 sneakers. I follow a lot of sneaker accounts on Instagram. You guys know I'm a big sneakerhead. And you can see it changes. There's another Jordan 8, the Jordan 8 that just came out a few days ago. And those scroll through and it looks really cool in the background. So I really like that. I've noticed it hasn't really ate as much battery life as I thought. I thought it might eat a lot of battery life, but it really doesn't eat that much battery life. It's a really, really cool app, actually. But back to what I was talking about before in terms of the limited selection. If you go through the App Store overall, you sort of look through the top ones, there's a few games. Like you can see most of the ones that are in the top apps, these are all watch faces. So there's a ton of watch face choices, but there's really not a lot of choice for anything else. There's a few games, it's sort of like games where you just flick something to waste time. just like a ball break game or something like that on your home screen. But most of these are watch faces. There's a few apps that are coming, so hopefully there'll be more. But I've noticed, especially with last year with the Gear S, what happened was Samsung said there were going to be all of these third-party developers working for, the Gear S, and then we didn't get as many apps as you might like. So in terms of the number of available apps, I still think there's a lot more with Android Wear. And so hopefully, now don't get me wrong, again, there's a ton of watch faces. So if you just want watch faces, there's a lot of cool watch faces, but there aren't really that many standalone third-party apps. So in fact, let me sort of segue into that. That's one of the pluses. So let's now, I think I'm mostly done with the negatives. One last thing that is a negative, I sort of think in my opinion, and that is the battery life. So the battery life on here is not that great. I think my Moto 360 2nd Gen, which you guys see I've got on right here, and also the Huawei watch, and definitely last year's Gear S, they all get better battery life than this watch. Now I put this watch on in the morning, every morning at 6 a.m. when I start my day, and I would use this thing till I finish my day and go to sleep around midnight, maybe 12:30. I work a really long day, and this thing will almost always be close to being dead. And when I go out on Friday nights, go out to dinner, whatever, go out with friends to a basketball game, basketball season's back, NBA's back, I'll be going to a lot of Suns games. I'll stay out till 2 or 3 in the morning on Friday night. This watch is probably not going to last. A couple times I went to the movies, went out for some drinks, and this watch would be dead at the end of the night. So the battery life is not that great. If you're a light user, it's going to get you through the day. If you're a power user, if you're getting mad notifications, if you got a lot going on, it's probably not going to last you. And that's a little concerning because last year, the Gear S, this is the battery life beast when it comes to smartwatches. It dominates everything. All right, so again, that's pretty much it, I think, on the negatives. I didn't like the screen size. I noticed a little lag. There's limited app selection so far. Of course, we can forgive them for now. We'll see how many comes out. And then, of course, the battery life just isn't as good as last year, which I really enjoyed. All right, so I said there's a lot of cool watch faces, so I showed you the social watch face. Let me show you one other that I downloaded that I really like. See if I can get this to load. So here we go. The other one I grabbed that I really like is the Sports Car S2 watch face. This one really takes advantage of this super high resolution on this watch, which is one of the killer features. That's another thing I really like. See the Sports Car S2, it looks like you got sports car dials here, like you got your different gauges for RPMs. You can see here you get a digital clock as well as an analog clock, and you can see right here you got this light flashing there at the bottom. That's a really good look. I think that looks really sweet on the home screen. And of course you can also change the accent colors by going into the actual watch face itself. So there are a lot of watch faces that I like. One downside, I guess, is that I don't really like a lot of the stock ones. I like this green one. I downloaded a simple, classy blue one as well. There are a ton of watch faces, though, in the App Store, so you have no problem getting that. And then the other thing, as I said, this thing has a super high resolution in terms of smartwatches, so that's another great feature of this. But the problem is, again, the screen is too small. So yes, you can see everything. Everything looks nice and crispy, but the problem is it doesn't really have a big enough screen to take advantage of it. And I understand that a lot of people told me in the comments on the last video, well, Samsung wants you to use the bezel. And that's true. And the bezel is probably my favorite feature about this watch. The rotating bezel is amazing, and you can rotate through all your apps super fast. And yes, as someone mentioned, I want to mention this in the review, you don't need to tap the individual icon. If you want to go into an app, you can tap in the center. Oops, I went to the Gear App Store. But you can tap in the center like on ESPN, and it'll load up the app. You don't actually have to type the small icon. I was unboxing it last time. I kept forgetting because on Android Wear you have to tap the app icon in order to get in there. So you can see there, my Alabama Crimson Tide won, my Cats lost, my Steelers lost, and the Suns, they got their opening night game against the Mavericks. Let's go Suns. All right, so the screen looks crispy. I love the overall high resolution, but again, it's just a little too small for me. But the bezel here is the killer feature. The bezel is so smooth and fluid navigating through your apps that you can sort of do a little bit of everything. And yes, you can even read through emails, which is the one thing that, again, a lot of people said, that's why you don't need a big screen. But if you have a big screen, you can see most of the email right when you get it. With this, I have to hit it, and then, yeah, I can use the bezel to rotate through, like so, which you guys can see here. But it takes a long time. If I got a full email, on the Gear S, I might just have to scroll maybe twice, with my finger. I don't have the bezel on the Gear S, but this screen's so big right? I can fit a large portion of the email on the screen. So again, I know people are going to criticize if you're sitting in traffic, not while you're driving, but if you're sitting at a stoplight and this email comes in, it's a lot easier just to hit the Gear S and flick it up a few times to see what's about. Here, I have to look at the title, and then if it's anything important, if I actually want to read the first few lines, scrolling can take some time. By that time, the light might have already changed. So you guys can see again, when these notifications came in, I still got to swipe them away, as I mentioned before. So overall, the rotating bezel, super fast. In terms of lag, I didn't notice any lag other than the ones I mentioned in terms of with the notifications coming in on the home screen. All the stock apps work perfectly well. You've got a lot of great apps that actually come with this, which is, Yelp and ESPN. Those are some good third-party apps. You can also use Buddy, which will let you go in and, as I showed before, if you have your People Edge on your S6 Edge Plus, you see here all of your friends. They're already in Buddy. You can contact them quickly. But again, when you place a call, it's going to show up on here, and you're going to have to take the call from your phone, which is a little bit annoying. Bloomberg works okay. Alarm weather. The weather is really nice. The weather app actually is really nice. You can see here I need to turn location on. But you can scroll through and you can get your weather forecasts for the whole week, every day. This is a pretty nice app. I use that a lot. Overall, I mean, the number of apps just needs to get larger in terms of the third-party apps. All the Samsung apps worked as expected. S-Health is great if you like to run. And the calendar app works as expected. You can see on here, I've got, calendar app. I haven't been using this one. I've taken more than 0 steps today. Got the Moto 360. Got my schedule here, weather. You can control your music. So a lot of people asked, can you control Google Play Music or Spotify? Yes, if you're using Spotify or Google Play Music on here, you'll be able to control it from here. Again, it's made for Milk Music to integrate the best, but whatever you use on here, you can control from your watch. You just won't be able to obviously actually access offline playback for Google Play Music like you would on Android Wear. So otherwise, everything on the watch works super smooth. I just don't necessarily love the screen size. I feel like the band is a lot cheaper than last year's model. I really like the Samsung branding on the clasp. It just doesn't look as futuristic. But for me, I'm going to keep this watch mainly because, or I might get the 3G model and sell this one so I have the standalone version. But Samsung Pay is coming to this watch next month. I love Samsung Pay. I've been using it on my Note 5 and my Edge Plus. It's great because you can pay even where there's not NFC, as long as you have a magnetic stripe reader that you can access easily. And that's coming to the watch, and I'm going to want to use that. So I will be keeping this watch for that reason. Now again, a lot of people are going to ask me to do a comparison. Once I review these other two watches, I will. I think the battery life on the Huawei watch and the Moto 360 is better. I also think the build is better on the Moto 360 and the Huawei watch. And overall, I just like these watches a little better. But that being said, if you want standalone apps and you want the rotating bezel, no other watch has that. So Android Wear does not have that option. So that's one thing to look at. And that's the reason I'm keeping my Gear S2, because it can do some things that my Android Wear watches cannot. So overall, would I recommend it to you? If you have original Gear S and you really loved it and you don't have the money to just blow, unless you love the latest tech, you got to have it, I wouldn't buy this watch, because the original Gear S is still the battery king. It's still the king in terms of overall feature set. And in my opinion, the screen size is better. So if you love this watch, you may be disappointed with this one. Now, that being said, if you don't have this watch, you want a smartwatch that looks like an actual watch. You want one that's got a rubber band because you want to take it running. You don't want to get it sweaty with a leather band. And you want something that's got this cool rotating bezel. You think that'll be a useful feature for you. And you don't necessarily care about Android Wear because, again, you're going to lose your Google Voice actions. You're going to have to use S-Voice. If you don't care about those things and you want a watch that actually looks like a traditional watch, if you want something that looks like a traditional watch, I could definitely recommend this. Just make sure that you're not going to be using it for more than 20 hours in a day or 18 hours even. You're going to need to charge it. All right, guys, that's been my full review of the Gear S2. I'm definitely keeping the watch or going to get the 3G model. Let me know what you guys think about this watch in the comments section below. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that I said in the review, or if there's anything I missed that you want to know about, and I will try to answer those questions. Also, check out my social media links. You can find me on Twitter and Google+. My links are in the description. Please give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. And check out news.highandandroid.com and dopetechdaily.com for more great Android news and giveaways. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.